Good morning. Good morning. I see people logging on. Good morning. Welcome to everyone. While you're logging on, special welcome. Good morning. Thank you all for your greetings as you're coming on and logging on. We're now live on Facebook and YouTube. If you're just joining us now, a big welcome. Thank you very much for joining. We'd love to hear from you. Please share in your comments some greetings, some hellos. I will be able to respond personally to your messages. Great. Welcome to our Facebookers, to our YouTubers. We'll just give it a couple of minutes, a minute or two more for people to log on as they are doing right now, and then we will begin. Okay, let me greet you personally here. Welcome everyone who's on and joining us live today. Okay. Right. Good morning to Tracy Mindel. Thank you for sharing. And to Shirley Feldman, and Bernice Krause, and Manfred Kalmuk, and Helen Feinstein, Norman Stein, Michael Stein, thank you. Felicia Jenks, Linda and Hami Drew, Mark Wachenheimer, thank you for joining. Hey, Benji Morgan from London. Welcome aboard, man. Good to see you. And we want to welcome to YouTube. Those who are with us on YouTube, Ronnie Kotkis, Ian Clemenson, Stephen Herr. Yes, Stephen will learn in memory of your mother, Esther Moshe, Stan Brask, Emery Lean, Donna Olovitz, to see more. Love this. Benji Morgan. This is our daily morning schedule. You can join us every day live. Alina Dolovitz, good morning. So we currently have 25 students logged on between Facebook and YouTube this morning for some learning. And I logging on both platforms. So if you're logging on now, we welcome you. We would like to thank you all for your compliments about my new look. It was about time, to be honest. So without going into too many details, thank you all for the compliments. Thank you. Thank you. I feel a few kilograms lighter, to be honest. All right. So I'm happy to welcome you here. We're going to get going. We've got a good discussion lined up for today. And I would like to bring you in to some thoughts of mine that relates to a discussion comes up in this week's Parsha, this week's Torah portion. Cheryl and Diamond, good morning on YouTube. Lionel Rubin, fantastic to have you all here. Well, we learn about the journey of the tribes, of the Shvatim, throughout the desert as they traveled. And we all know the story about the cloud that led them in the daytime, the fire that led them at nighttime. That was the the protection that God provided for them as they traveled through the desert. So one of the tribes we learn about is the tribe of Dan. We know the tribe of Dan. We actually spoke about the tribe of Dan earlier this week when we spoke about Chushim. Chushim was deaf, and he's the one that cut off Esav's head when they were debating and arguing over the burial of Yaakov in Ma'arat Machpelah. I just want to welcome some others who have logged on. David Ginsburg has greeted me here. Larry Cohen, thanks for your greeting. On YouTube, we welcome Shelley Smith. Thank you very much for being part of this. So I want to discuss Dan. Dan's a fascinating tribe, and there's what to learn here. We learned about Chushim. Chushim was the deaf one. He was the deaf son of Dan. So the verse tells us this week's parasha that as the tribes traveled through the desert, Dan seems to stick out because there's an additional description about Dan that's not written about with other tribes. So it's summarized in 3 words, but those 3 words can create massive discussion, and that's what we're going to discuss today. And I welcome you all here, close to 35 students who are with us here on Facebook and YouTube, so thank you for joining. What does the pasuk say? What does the verse say? The verse says about Dan, Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. Hi Melissa, thank you for joining. Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. At Dan, says the Torah, he gathered together, collected all the camps. Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. He gathered together all the camps. What was the role of him? What does it mean that Dan was Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot? What does that mean? So the commentaries, Rashi and others explain, you know how when you go on an excursion with a school, and you go with a school and school children on an excursion, you're always going to have the teachers or the parents that lead in the front, and you're always going to have the teachers or the parents that follow from behind, right? And then in between, you got all the students of the class or of the school that's walking along with them. So what's the job of the frontliners? What's the job of the people in the front? And we know that the tribe of Yehuda took a front line, as the parasha discusses in this week's parasha. As the verse says that the Machen Bnei Yehuda traveled first. So what's the purpose of the first ones? The first ones show everyone else where to go. So you got the teachers at the front of the school that are going on an excursion, and it's the role and the responsibility of those teachers to show the way and to guide the students in a particular direction where they're going. So all the students see the person at the front, all the Shvatim, all the tribes see Machane Yehuda. By the way, that's where Shuk Machane Yehuda comes from. Machane Yehuda is the famous Shuk in Yerushalayim. Good morning, Arnold. Good morning, Ruth. So Machane Yehuda is the Shuk, right? Machane Yehuda, we see Yehuda traveling in front, and as we see Yehuda traveling, that's when we travel too. That's the role of the people in the front. What's the role of the people in the back? The role of the people in the back is to make sure, A, that no one gets left behind. So if there's some of the children, the school children that are dawdling, in the back, or getting lost in the back, or getting tired, or dragging their feet, or getting thirsty, or whatever the case may be, need to go to the bathroom, right? You always have to have those teachers at the back of the group. They're going to make sure that they're gathering together all the, the oddbods, those who are left behind. Also, there happens to be lost and found. One guy drops his jersey and one guy drops his water bottle and who knows what. So Dan was responsible for gathering all of that together. So whether it was belongings or was people, he was the Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. He was the one that gathered together. He gathered together all the other camps from behind. Okay? That was his role, the role of Dan. Ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. And they used to walk, at the back of the tribes as the Jewish people traveled through the desert. Dan was at the back. It says that they used to walk in a form of a beam, so they were a one long straight line, and they made sure that nobody got lost. They made sure that no belongings got lost as they traveled through Klal Yisrael. And so that's that's a supportive tribe. That's a tribe who cares, who's concerned about the well-being of every single individual. While Yehuda obviously is the leader, right? Mashiach, David HaMelech comes from Yehuda. So Yehuda is the leader. He's of the Machanot. He's leading the way. But Dan is showing love and care to every single individual. Dan is making sure that every single person is involved. Every single person is coming along. Every single person is part of Klal Yisrael. No one gets left behind. That's the job of Dan. And I think that I found that very relevant. Good morning, David. Shkoyach, Dave Block. Thanks for joining. And then the compliment. I found it very relevant. The discussion regarding Dan. Because we gather everyone in. I actually had an interesting conversation, which I want to share with you, regarding this exact point. It was a conversation with, if I'm not mistaken, a conservative rabbi of a conservative community. And he told me that Chabad and us, meaning Chabad and conservatism, share something in common. So I said, really? What does Chabad and conservatism share in common? So he said, we are both Ma'asef L'chol HaMachanot. We are both the tribe of Dan, who is there to gather in the tribes and to make sure that no one falls through the crack, and to make sure that every single member of the community journeying along and traveling on with Klal Yisrael, with the Jewish people. So Chabad does it, and he complimented Chabad for their outreach and their kiruv and embracing every single Jew, no matter where they may be, spiritually or even geographically, making sure that they come on board. And he complimented conservatism, his conservative community, how they are also following that mantra. They're also following that goal of being Shevet Dan, Ma'asef L'chol HaMachanot, gathering in every single person and making sure they're part of Klal Yisrael. Good morning, Feiga and Selwyn, both on YouTube. Thanks for joining. If you're just joining now, please do share with us that you're here. We want to know. Post something in the comments. I know we had Benji Morgan here just a little while back from London. If anybody else is logging on from out of town, Cape Town, Israel, let us know you're with us. It's not Australia now. I think it's almost Shabbos. But anyone else, please let us know that you're online with us. We'd love to engage with you and connect with you. We're talking about Shevet Dan. And the comment I got from the conservative rabbi that Chabad and conservatism share something in common. He then said that there's one big difference between Chabad and conservatism. That you follow strict halachic guidelines in terms of who you gather in and who you allow in, whereas we, in conservative, stretch the boundaries a little further to make sure that everyone is able to join along if they choose to. And he was referring to, obviously, conservative conversions, etc. If you're on Facebook, I want you to like this video and share it so other people can join along too. So he distinguished between Chabad and conservatism in terms of who we allow in and who we embrace. And that was an important distinction. So I want to spend a few minutes on this to discuss this concept of being Ma'asef L'chol HaMachanot. The truth is, there's no longer a Chabad exclusive mantra. It's no longer a Chabad exclusive slogan, being Shevet Dan. Well, here you have it. Even the conservative rabbi told me that it's also his slogan too, Ma'asef L'chol HaMachanot, gathering in all the camps. But I think it's something that's been embraced today by everyone. Almost 95% of communities understand that we have a responsibility of making sure that nobody is dawdling. You know, we got to be those parents or those teachers that stand at the back of the group, at the back of the pack, and make sure that nobody gets lost. Nobody drops anything. Nobody gets lost. Nobody dawdles. Nobody loses their way. That's something that all of Klal Yisrael, all of the Jewish people today have embraced this. They've embraced the reality that we are so close to Mashiach. We are so close to reaching our destination. We are so close to going into the promised land of Israel. We can't afford to lose anyone. We can't afford to have anyone fall behind. And unfortunately, there are many people that have fallen off the tracks. There are many people who are not involved. There are many people who are asleep. And the responsibility of Shevet Dan as Asef L'chol Machanot, as gathering in all the groups, all the camps, the responsibility of Shevet Dan is to make sure that no one gets left behind. And today it's something that we've all embraced. Benji Morgan, are you still online with us? I had an interesting conversation with Benji a few years back. Benji's still online, let me know. Helen Feinstein, thank you for the regards of Ramat Beit Shemesh. Herbert Hack is in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Thank you, Herbert. If you're online as well, say hello. Greetings to my parents, who you know. Moira Dworkins on YouTube. Thank you very much, Moira, and thanks for the compliment. So Benji Morgan was online. He is the CEO and director of the JLE, the Jewish Learning Exchange in London. A very, very successful outreach organization based in London, in Golders Green. And Benji and I were chatting about this. And once upon a time, there may have been distinctions between different sects and groups of Klal Yisrael and Judaism within Jewish communities. Once upon a time, some believed more in Kiruv and some believed less in Kiruv. Some believed more in outreach and some believed less in outreach. In fact, there's many great writings about this. The communities found it very, very difficult to actually adapt to the new realities of the modern world. Communities found it very difficult to adapt and recognize that we have the responsibility of making sure that no one gets left behind. In many communities, in communities of old, they just went on with their thing. They didn't care who else was lost, which teenager, which young adult, which child is battling, which person gets intermarried and marries out. They didn't care. Once you stepped out of the four walls of the Bet Midrash, of the yeshiva, of the shul, it was no longer their responsibility to worry for you. That's the way it was in days of old. And slowly communities have adapted. And slowly communities have come to realize that we've got the responsibility to be Shevet Dan. We've got the responsibility of being the tribe of Dan. What does Dan do? Dan gathers together, Ma'asef L'chol Machanot. He gathers together all those that are left behind. And we've all got to do it today. Call it Kirov, call it Shlichut, whatever you want to give it, an outreach, whatever the name or the title is. We've got the responsibility of being that tribe of Dan. We can't afford not to. The Jewish people are compared to a body. And in a body, we have many, many different limbs. All the limbs make up an entire structure of Klal Yisrael, of the Jewish people. And every limb is critical. Every nail, every hair is critical and part of the person, part of the being. And so it is with Klal Yisrael, with the Jewish people. We've got the responsibility to gather in whoever we can, invite them, encourage them, inspire them. Let's be Shevet Dan. Let's be the tribe of Dan. Gather whoever you can. I want to welcome anyone who's just logging on now to our session of daily learning and lockdown inspiration. If you're here, please share with us your wishes and your greetings, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. Or your questions. Let us know your questions. I'd love to engage and have a discussion on air, live. But to our topic, the comment of the comment of the rabbi that I was chatting with, the comment of the conservative rabbi that I was chatting with, is very important to clarify that. Because what he said was conservatism and Chabad share something in common. We're both Shevet Dan, Ma'asef Chol Machanot. We gather in the exile, we gather in the camps. It's true that we both gather in the camps, but he himself clarified, and there's one major difference, and that is that within Chabad, there's halachic guidelines as to who can come into Klal Yisrael. Obviously, there's utmost respect. Obviously, there's utmost hospitality. Chabad houses around the world host Jews and non-Jews equally. That's not the question right now. But within Chabad, there's halachic guidelines. Within Kirov, within all Orthodox communities, there's halachic guidelines. Who we can invite in and who we can't. Whereas conservatism and conservative communities don't have those guidelines. They stretch the guidelines, as the rabbi told me himself. We stretch the guidelines to gather in even those who are slightly off the grid. We want to gather them in too. And that's an important distinction. We don't do that. We've got to stick within the guidelines. Yes, we want to give everyone a chance to be part of Klal Yisrael. Yes, we want to welcome in everyone. Yes, we want to be hospitable and welcoming and loving to whoever wants to engage. Absolutely. But to be part of Klal Yisrael, to be part of the Jewish people, there are certain guidelines. So we are very welcoming. And we've spoken about this on our sessions. I mean, we've been doing daily learning for lockdown for the last, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. On YouTube, there are about 40 sessions of these lockdown videos, which is quite amazing. You can always go back and watch them. It's a bit harder to find them on Facebook. You can always go back on YouTube, and there's a whole folder of 40 discussions, 40 classes. You're more than welcome to join in and listen to those. And one of the things we spoke about in previous sessions was unity and diversity, or unity within diversity, or diversity within unity, and gathering everyone and letting everyone shine in their own unique way. So we are very big into unity, but it's got to be within guidelines. Kirov, outreach, being done when he traveled behind the tribes in the desert, he didn't go gather in other nations. That wasn't the role of Dan, to go find other nations, let them all in to the Jewish faith. There were certain guidelines. Depends if you belong to the families that were traveling through the desert. So to ourselves, we've got the responsibility of making sure that we keep strong policy. Follow Torah's guidelines. You want to do outreach? You want to do Kirov? You want to go out? You want to love everyone? Absolutely. But who you gather in to Klal Yisrael, you got to have those guidelines. Where the rabbi, my friend, the conservative rabbi, came up with the rule that conservatism pushes the boundaries of halacha, where's that from? Who allowed that? Who signed that off? Which Shulchan Aruch or code of law or biblical text allowed us to bend the rules of Judaism and bend the rules of conversion for the sake of being done? Dan, the tribe who gathered in all people. That we can't do. That's not possible. Because we know that we've got guidelines. Either born to a Jewish mother or converted halachically, according to Orthodox halacha. That's what defines a member of Klal Yisrael, of the Jewish people. And that was the tribe of Dan. Interesting that Dan's name, Boker Tov, David Seif, thank you very much for joining us. Dan's name is in fact, Dan comes from the word din. Din means judgment, right? Din, Dan. Interesting that he had a sister called Dinah. We all know the one daughter of Yaakov Avinu was called Dinah. So Dan means to judge. And maybe the connection is that in order to gather in, if you are Shevet Dan, if you're gathering in Kol HaMachanot, if you're gathering in everyone, you've got to still have a selection process. You've got to still have your judgment call. You can't just say everyone's welcome, because then you're breaking halakha, the Jewish law. Then you're being like our conservative rabbi friend. You can't do that. You've got to be done. Done means have judgment. Know how to be selective. Know what fits in and what doesn't fit in. what is part of Klal Yisrael and what is not part of Klal Yisrael. That's the responsibility we have. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them. And welcome to all those who've just logged on. Lovely to have you here. We've got over 35 students here this morning, and it's one across the 2 platforms. And thank you for being here for another week, another conclusion to daily learning. Now, many of us feel that we're not capable of being that tribe of Dan. It's not really my type. While going back to our previous comments, while we agree that it's something communities should do, while we agree that it's something that rabbis should do, we have the responsibility as a community to embrace everyone, to welcome in everyone. That's possible. But then the response comes, but I'm not really capable of doing this. Stephen, I saw your comments on YouTube. I don't know the answer to your question. Apologies. I think it's Gad. So many of us claim, but I don't really have the capabilities. I don't know enough. I'm not positive, or I'm not confident enough. I can't be the one to do it. I can't be the Dan, the Shevet Dan. I'll let my rabbi be the Shevet Dan. Let him chase whoever he wants to. Let him find my friends. Let him bring my friends in. Because he's got the skills. He's not scared. He's not shy. So he can do it. I'm not going to be the one who's going to be Shevet Dan. I can't chase anyone. I can't chase anyone. That's what many people claim. Before I continue, Ian Clemenson. Yes, exactly, Ian. The Russians are an issue in Israel with Jewish identity. So let's just clarify that. There are many, many Russians that are Orthodox with Jewish genealogy, but there are many that aren't. And Israel in the 70s allowed in, even till today, they allow in people who aren't necessarily halachically Orthodox Jewish. And that's a problem. Exactly. So there are people roaming around Israel with Israeli passports, many of them Russian, many from other countries too, holding Israeli passports and not halachically Jewish. Exactly. So that's a big worry. And they've perhaps stretched the boundaries of halacha beyond halacha. Getting back to my comments regarding some of us not feeling confident to do the job of Dan. Some of us not feeling confident that we're able to be ma'asef l'chol ha'machanot. And I think the Torah is telling us a message. When we read the parasha tomorrow, we should all listen carefully. And listen carefully, my friends. Some of you right, Gaiden was a military group. Yeah, thank you. So let me tell you, some of you are more capable on inspiring others than the rabbis or the kiruv leaders themselves. Because sometimes the rabbis have an agenda, so to speak. Sometimes the community leaders are not successful in welcoming in everyone. We are not successful in doing so. So who can do it? You can do it. Because you have a friend who's a bit further out, who's not as involved, who needs a bit of love, who needs a personal invite, who you can invite and invite them to this forum. You can tell them 10:30 every day, log on to Facebook or YouTube and join Rabbi Stern for a fascinating discussion every morning. You could do it. Sometimes you could reach someone further out than me. Just kidding. It doesn't have to be Rabbi Stern's daily learning session. It could be anything. Because you have friends who trust you, who know you, who are comfortable with you, you can be that Shevet Dan. You can be the Dan who is Ma'asef L'chol HaMachanot. Let's understand that the responsibility that we have, let's understand that the responsibility that we have is not just for community leaders to be the Shevet Dan. The Torah is telling us about Shevet Dan because we all have the responsibility. We're all able to. That's the reality. And so I encourage you even during this challenging time when there's not shul service. But there's programs and there's learning. So let's be shebetan within halachic parameters. Don't overstep halacha. It's got to be within halachic parameters. But ma'asev l'chol machanot. Find ways of encouraging people. Find ways of inspiring them, of uplifting them. That's how we're going to build Klal Yisrael and make sure that every member is part of the Jewish people, so that when Mashiach comes, and Mashiach's coming any moment, when Mashiach comes, we won't have to look for others. They're all here. All of the Jewish people are here together. It's been a fascinating morning together with you. I appreciate your comments, your feedback. Thank you for joining. And I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. This afternoon at 4:10. This afternoon we'll be having a program online. Pre-Kabbalat Shabbat. And we have a very, very special guest whose name is Gad Elbaz. He'll be joining us from Israel. I'm already sharing with some of you the link. If you look at YouTube, you can find the link there. And I'm now posting the link on Facebook as well. Apologies. Yeah. Right. There's the link. If you go to that link, you'll be able to get to our pre-Kabbalat Shabbat program this afternoon. I look forward to seeing you all there 4:10 this afternoon on Zoom with the Sidlam Shul Rabbonim and Chazonim, as well as Gad Elbaz, Israel's singing sensation. Have a wonderful day and a Shabbat Shalom. Sunday morning is going to be Esti Stern in the house. Rebbetzin Esti will be giving the Sunday morning shmooze at 10:15. You can use the same link for Esti shmooze 10:15 on Zoom. Men and women are invited. That's going to replace our daily morning session. Okay? Wishing you all Shabbat Shalom. Keep safe, keep sane, and keep spiritual. And all the best.